Fractions, decimals, and percentage are all equivalents, but different ways of showing part of a whole. Now let's imagine a card with 10 stripes, 5 blue and 5 white. So we can be asked to find what part of it is blue. Is half or 5 out of 10? And we can also express it as 0.5 as a decimal. Now we can also say 50 out of 100. Alright, this is what is known as percentage, so that is 50%. Welcome to this class with Mr. Ige on percentage. We are going to be looking in details about percentage. We have already studied how to convert fractions to decimals and all of it. Now let's look at percentage. Cent comes from a French word which means 100. Alright, just like in the American dollars, 100 cents is equivalent to $1. Alright, so the same way 100% means per 100 or out of 100. For example, 50% is 50 out of 100. Alright, now let's recall decimals can be changed to fraction and fraction back to decimal, right? Alright, now in this case we are trying to make the denominator over 100 or multiples of 10. For example, we have 3 over 10. To express this, we look at the denominator is 10, so we need to multiply it by 10 to get 100. And so the same thing with 3, we get a 30 over 100. Yes, that is 30%. So 3 over 10 is the same thing as 30%. Now we are going to learn in details how to change fractions to decimal. I will be taking 3 examples, alright, in this class. 3 examples. We will try to change 3 over 4 to percentage and 5 over 8 to percentage and 7 over 18 to percentage. Now let's start with it. So whenever we are asked to change a fraction to percentage, we multiply by 100% over 1. Alright, 100% over 1. So when we check, you look at 4, you look at 100. And something tells you that 4 can divide 100. And so when we do that, we are going to get our 25. Alright, so we simply multiply the numerator out and as well as the denominator. So we are going to get 3 times 25. That is going to be 75 over 1. Alright, so that is going to be equivalent to 75%. 75%. So this is a way of changing a fraction like this to percentage. Now in the second example, when we do this, we are going to have 8 to divide 100. But we can divide this by simply dividing 8 by 4 and also 100 by 4. So 4 into 8 is 2. 4 into 100 is 25. So when we multiply 25 by 5, we are definitely going to get 125 over 2. Alright, now we can divide 125 by 2 because it's an improper fraction. So we are definitely going to get a mixed fraction. So 2 into 12 is definitely a 6. Alright, so we divide 5, we get a 2 remainder 1. And so that becomes our numerator over 2. So that is 62.5%. Alright, so now let's look at 7 over 18. As usual, we're going to multiply by 100 over 1%. Alright, so we are going to have to divide the 100 and the 18. And when you look at it, you discover that 2 can divide. Alright, 2 divide 100, you get a 50. Alright, 2 divide 18, we get a 9. Alright, now when you check, nothing can divide any further. So you try to multiply the numerator over the denominator. So when we multiply the numerator, we get 350 over 9. So when we divide 350 by 9, we start by getting a 3. That is 35 divided by 9, 3. Remainder what? Yes, remainder a 7. So when you do divide this, you are going to get an 8. Alright, remainder 8. So that 8 is going to be over 9%. Alright, now let's look at converting percentage to fraction. We have 4 examples here. Alright, 4 examples to help us understand it better. Alright, let's look at the first example. We have 82%. 82%. We are trying to convert to fraction. So when converting to fraction, we must divide by 100 because percent mean over 100. So 82 over 100 will be reduced to its simplest form because it's not in the simplest form or lowest term. Now 2 can divide 82 and 100. So we get a 41 as in our numerator and 50 as denominator. This is our final answer because 41 is a prime number, so it cannot be reduced any further. So that is our final answer. Alright, it's that simple. Now let's look at the second example. We have 50%. That is 50 over 100. Alright, so we can reduce this further by simply dividing by 50. So we are going to get 50 divided 51, 50 divided 100, 2. That is 1 over 2 as our final answer. The third question is 9%, and that is 9 over 100. In a case like this, the number cannot be reduced any further. So that means this becomes our final answer, 9 over 100. And finally, the fourth example. We have 120 over 120%, and that is 120 over 100. Alright, so when we try to change this to a mixed fraction, because it's an improper fraction, we get 1 over 20 over 100. Now 20 over 100 can be reduced further, and so all we need to do is to divide by 20 the numerator and the denominator, and that gives us one whole number 1 over 5. One whole number 1 over 5. So this is not difficult at all. Alright, now we are going to look at changing percent to decimal. Now let's look at 4 examples. Now first of all, we must note that when changing percentage to decimals, we simply divide by 100. Previously we were told, or rather we learned, that when changing decimals to percentage, we simply multiply by 100. So we are going to do the reverse of that. Now if we have, for example, a number like 40% to change to decimal, it means we are going to divide 40% by 100. However, we need to locate the the position of the decimal point, because when dividing by 100, we learned that we push the decimal point to the left hand side by 2 places. Alright, so when we locate the position and push the decimal point, we are going to get 0.40. Alright, so this 40% is equivalent to 0.40 or 0.4 as a decimal. It is quite easy, right? Alright, now let's look at the second example. Now we have 73%. Now when we divide by 100, we simply push the decimal point to the left hand side by 2 places. I will get 0.73. Alright, 0.73. That is the equivalent. Now looking at the third, the same procedure. We push the decimal point back by 2 places, and so we are going to get 0.095. Add 9.5%, so we get 0.095. Now the last example we have here is bigger than 100%. So we have 130%. So when we push the decimal point backward by 2 places, we get 1.30, or simply 1.3. 1.3. So this is how we convert percentages to decimals. Now let's look at converting decimals to percentage. The first question here is 0.82. We multiply by 100% to convert to percentage. And when we're doing this, we move the decimal point to the right by 2 places like this. Alright, so when you do that, you get 82. Okay, 82% is the answer. Now we are also going to look at the second example. We have 0.072. So when we move the decimal point, we are going to get 7.2. That's 7.2%. Alright, so look at the third example. We have 0.9. So it's the same thing as 0.90. So when we move the decimal point twice to the right hand side, we are going to get our 90. So that's 90%. Alright, so let's look at the last question here. It's a long one. We have 0.3056. So when we move the decimal point, we are going to get 30.56. So that's 30.56%. Alright, finally, we are going to look how to find the percentage of a given number. Alright, this is one application of percentage. Alright, now looking at the first example, 50% of 16. Well, 50% simply means 50 over 100. And recall that of means times. So it means 50 over 100 times 16. Alright, so we are going to try to do this. 50 over 100 times 16 over 1. Alright, when we look at this, we are going to try to multiply. Alright, 50 multiplied by 16 is going to give us an 800. 800. So 100 times 1 is 100. So 800 over 100. So when we simply cancel out the 2 zeros, we get 8. Alright, so 50% of 16 is 8. Alright, this is a percentage way of doing it. Alright, So now let's look at, there could be other way of proving that this result is correct. All right, so let's look at a different way of finding this. We recall that 50% is half, so it simply means half times 16 over 1. So that is 16 over 2. And when we do that, we are going to get 16 divided by 2, that's 8. You see, the same answer. All right. Now, we can also do it in a decimal way. So, we just seen that both in percentage and in fraction, we can do the same thing and get the same result. All right. It's just a different way of showing the same thing. Now that we have done this, we are going to go straight to use the third method, which is the decimal method. All right, recall 50 over 100 is the same thing as 0.5. So that means 0.5 times 16. All right, so when we multiply this, you also get an 8. So you see, this is exactly what we're talking about. Now we are going to look at the second example. In the second example, we are asked to find 25% of 20. First, 25% is 25 over 100. Of is times and 20 over 1. So when we do this multiplication properly, we are going to get a 500 over 100. All right, that is going to give us a 5. So that is to say 25% of 20 is 5. So the answer is 5. Now, if we try to use the other method of fraction, 25%, if you recall, or 25 over 100 is 1 over 4. So that means 1 over 4 times 20 over 1. That is 20 over 4. And when we divide this, we get a 5 again. See? So, the same way when we look at the decimal fraction part, is going to be 0.25 times 20 or 20. If this is done properly, we are going to get a 5. So, these are different ways of showing the same thing. Now, the last question here is to find 65% of the number 15. That is 65 over 100 times 15 over 1. Alright, that is 975 over 100. So when we do this division, we are going to get 9 whole number 75 over 100. Or we can express this as a decimal. So we will have 9.75. Both answers means the same thing. Alright, it's just a different way of writing it. So if we were to use decimal method, we will have 0.65 times 15. So we are also going to get 9.75. So these are different ways of showing the percentage of a number. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next class. Bye.